My name is Sven Harmeling. I'm working as Senior Advisor Climate and Development with the German Environment and Development Organization German Watch, and we have been following the development of the Adaptation Fund since more than 3 years. What we expect is, of course, that the Adaptation Fund plays a crucial role in helping developing countries to adapt to climate change, to adapt to the adverse effects. And one of the particular features of the Adaptation Fund and why we support it is that the Adaptation Fund itself has said we want to have a focus on the most vulnerable communities. So it's really the most vulnerable people that benefit from projects within developing countries. And that's, of course, an expectation that we have, that this is also fulfilled. Say that the Adaptation Fund board members are quite responsive to having exchange with us. We have a lot of informal dialogues with them during the coffee breaks, etc. And my experience over the last 3 years is that this is welcomed by the Adaptation Fund board members, but of course also an important opportunity for us to raise some of the points we think are important. I also would like to express my gratitude that we have now entered into kind of formalizing dialogue options, so that there will be a specific session with the Adaptation Fund board members where civil society can raise its views and where we can have exchange. Can do is that we prepare documents and papers which we give to different delegates. There has not yet been a call or an explicit call for submissions, for example, from NGOs, and that is something which perhaps could be looked at on specific issues, and that is usually the case in the UNFC process, for example. It has different level of activities. So one activity level is that basically follow the Adaptation Fund board work, go to the meetings, prepare reports and analyses on this, and this is mostly done by German Watch, but also with the input from some partners. The second level, and I think that is even the more important one, is that we try to build capacity, try to assist NGOs in developing countries, that they can, in their country, follow the Adaptation Fund process. It means, for example, if a project is approved by the Adaptation Fund in a country, that these NGOs play a kind of watchdog role, but in a constructive manner within the country, so that they get engaged with the responsible persons for this project, that they get engaged with communities in the project areas, and so that we kind of build up a system of bottom-up accountability, and which also helps, for example, to the Adaptation Fund board to learn from the experience in the different developing countries. Because we have project funding for this initial phase for the next basically 2.5 years, there's not the need for financial contribution by these NGOs, because this is often a barrier for NGOs who have relatively few resources. So we are basically inviting every NGO who wants to follow the Adaptation Fund, in particular from developing countries, to become a member of this network. We of course will be drafting some kind of general mission statements which everyone has to assign to, but this is in the development process. But generally we are quite open to interested NGOs. I think it's a good opportunity. The Adaptation Fund is a very innovative tool. It's something which really tries to be responsive to the needs of developing countries, and it can help to implement very concrete adaptation projects and programs. And we know that there is a huge demand for adaptation funding. And interestingly, there were some cases already in the past that, for example, a school class collected donations for the Adaptation Fund because they were educated about the impacts of climate change. And we think that there are other events, and this is an opportunity that the Adaptation Fund board could use even more, and I think it can be both bigger or smaller contributions. We know that there are also many rich individuals in the world who can also give bigger contributions to the Adaptation Fund, for example, but even smaller contributions can sum up to something which can really assist the implementation of projects. I would like to invite the Adaptation Fund board members to continue and even increase the engagement of civil society in the Adaptation Fund board deliberations, but also to look for how the engagement of civil society can be addressed and can be incentivized when projects are implemented in developing countries, because there's at the moment a weakness in the guidance given by the Adaptation Fund. I think that will in the end decide to an important extent whether the Adaptation Fund as a whole will be seen as a success story or whether it's just another fund.